I'm going to go.
Go.
Another soft area with former guests that we've had. So we've explored people's early jobs. So Tom Sainsbury, I think, was an animal wrangler at Auckland Museum. Madeline Sami was a Kinder Surprise egg at the Auckland Zoo. Research tells me that you were a giant tooth.
Oh my God, yes.
In a Listerine ad?
Yes.
How did that go down?
How did you find that? Did I tell that story once? Because being a dancer, we used to do heaps of auditions for ads as well. I joined an agency, whatever, and it was always good money to help snowboard. And I got this ad as a giant tooth, and so you had to get into these giant tooth costumes.
Was it like a styrofoam? Or it wouldn't be styrofoam, would it?
I don't know what it was. Might have been, actually. And there was two versions. You had the dirty teeth and you had the clean teeth.
Which were you?
We were both.
Oh,
we had
right.
to do both.
Ah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Before and after.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the clean teeth and the people who were making the ad were so paranoid about you getting it dirty, and you basically had handlers watching that you wouldn't bump into a wall or something, and your face coming out of the tooth.
Quite recognisable.
Really happy. I'd love to get that ad.
Yeah.
I'd love to get it. And we're really happy, clean teeth, and throwing our arms up with glee whenever the Listerine came to hit us. It's like, yay, Listerine. And then the dirty teeth. And we had to get the dirty teeth, and they were like covered in pizza, and we had this horrible scene which was like a student's lounge. There was two teeth making out on the couch. It was. I was shoveling pizza in my mouth and getting it all over me, and that was actually really fun. One of the highlights of my career.
And there was a Barbie commercial as well?
Yes, another highlight.
Another highlight?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did 3 Barbie commercials.
Did you?
Yes.
Were you Barbie?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
They didn't give you a call up for the movie?
No.
They didn't see your work in New Zealand?
Well, Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was Beach Blast Barbie, which I can still remember the jingle.
Yeah.
Beach Blast Barbie, you're the one. We're into Barbie. We're into Barbie. And that was my line. And we had to try and
Did you have to do an American accent on it? Was it a New Zealand ad?
It was a New Zealand ad, and they'd copied an Australian ad, I think, which
Right.
is weird.
Yeah.
We had to play beach volleyball, and the producers were so annoyed because none of us could actually play properly. I mean, we were about 9. And so then we had to pretend, and they had to put it back in post, the ball in post. I also got told off for getting too excited.
Oh.
You'll get, you go to the back if you get too excited. I'll say, okay, calm down. That was fun, crimped hair. And then my brother and I, Logan, he's going to be attacked in this podcast.
Yeah, good. Get after him.
I know. We're Dance Magic Barbie. So he was Ken.
Ah.
And I was Barbie.
I think that's the ad that I've seen.
Is that the one where we come together and we twirl around?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was also the Milky Bar kid.
No.
Yeah, but he was the old Milky Bar kid handing the reins over to the new one.
All right.
So they had the back of his head and he was going on the shoulder. It's over to you now, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is quite a unique childhood, modelling and starring in TV ads, and it's you and your brother. Like, what's the background to that? Is it your parents getting you into it? Like, how does that work?
I would say Mum. Mum got us into dancing. And then once you're in the dancing world, the sort of media and entertainment world opens up, and you keep getting, go to auditions with the whole class, and then you get an agent, and it just became part of life, I guess.
Did Logan dance as well?
Logan did. Logan was made to dance.
Okay.
Because I was going, so Mum wanted to take him too.
Yeah,
and
nice.
also, they always needed boys
Yeah.
because not many boys dance. So, he was sort of made to go along, and he was actually really good. He had a natural talent, but he was so embarrassed about it because he was cool. He liked skateboarding, and we weren't allowed to tell his friends that he was a
Really?
dancer. Yeah.
You had to hold that secret at age, 10?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. We used to bring it out sometimes if we're trying to tease him. Yeah.
Interesting.
How do you reflect on that childhood now? Because it led you down a path. You were a champion ballroom dancer, and it served you very well. But looking back on that childhood, was it a fun time?
It was really fun. It was also a lot of pressure. It's really hard to, as a parent, look back and try and analyse whether it was good or bad, because, as you say, it served me so well. So I'm really thankful for it, and I'm glad my mum sort of put this pressure on us, and we were always out. This is probably part of her ADHD too. You know, we were 2 or 3 practices a week, plus the class, plus swimming, plus whatever sport we were doing at school, plus, you know, little drama classes here and there. So that it was a lot. And then she'd, you know, give me stick for not having done my homework. And I'm like, well, when am I meant to do my homework? I need time to lie on the couch. Yeah. No, it was, I appreciate it. I'm not sure I would be, put that much pressure on Raven, but I say that now. And you also want to teach your kids commitment, because it did teach me commitment.
Yeah, because what were the lessons, I guess, from that child, the discipline, I guess, that it takes to kind of do all of those things? Yeah,
discipline, and committing to something, going along when you say you will. Having a partner added to that, because, you know, it was you had to go for them too. You couldn't just not go to class, and it taught me how to turn up when you really didn't want to. If you're feeling sick, or you just were over it, or your body hurt a little bit, you had to turn up. And those were usually the lessons where you would learn something huge, or you would get to a next level because you've pushed through that. So I really appreciate it.
Because did it create a career path? Like, you're obviously really, really good at it. Was there a point in those high school years where you thought, shit, maybe this is me, maybe I'm be a professional dancer for the rest of my life?
Completely the opposite. The career path for a professional dancer at that time was you would move overseas to London pretty much, and then become a teacher and make it your whole life. So you teach, and you would live it, and you would breathe it, and you would put all your money into it. And I think when I was 18, I just went, no, that's not for me. So it wasn't until my early 20s, mid-20s, when Dancing with the Stars came along, where it all, like, this light bulb moment, and it was like, oh, it was all for something. And so Dancing with the Stars set me on this path.
Before we get there, can we just loop back to, like, the glamorized, and I use that term loosely, the glamorized version of what the reality of dancing is like bleeding toes, and you talked about, like, having to front up when your body was sore. Is that the reality of it? Like, you're pushing your body to its absolute limits in those conditions?
Absolutely. They used to say when you were doing 5 dances, so when you were in A grade or professional, you did 5 dances. They used to say it was like doing a marathon. You'd expend that much energy, plus you'd have to smile.
You do have to smile the whole time, eh?
I know, exactly. So it's kind of a sport. They pushed, and I think it's now called dance sport. It's a sport in that regard, but I've always thought that it's an art.
Yeah.
If you have to smile, to me, that feels like an art.
Did you have to practice your smile as well as your, like, steps and routine?
Not so much practice, but you got told, you know.
Smile.
Smile, 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 smile. And then your smile would start shaking because you're holding it so long and it's so fake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to move through the dancing journey a little bit. So you get sick of dancing, you get into snowboarding, we'll cover that soon. But then you get back into Dancing with the Stars, then you win Celebrity Treasure Island, and that catapults you to Strictly over in the UK. And is that the timeline?
I'm not sure the Treasure Island...
That had anything to do with it?
Not with Strictly.
That's what Shay told me. So.
But
3 a.m, man. I might make some mistakes at 3 a.m.
No, but I wanted to focus on that. Like, that was such a big deal, right? I don't think people really understand what a big production that was.
Yeah, Dancing with the Stars is our reference point, but Strictly in the UK is huge, right?
It's the original, the OG. Huge. And I think the reason I got that was they had this very tall swimmer. My partner was Mark Foster. He's a world champion swimmer. I think he swam the 100 metres. And he was 6'7". And so they didn't have any dancers in the UK who could dance with him. So they sort of cast their net around the world to the other Dancing with the Stars. And I was tall enough to get an audition.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had to fly over to with my Treasure Island money. So maybe this is where it came from.
There we go.
Vindicated.
Yes,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
Shay's back.
Thank you very much.
Do not doubt this man.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So I had some cash from Treasure Island, so I flew myself over to London for the audition. I think I was there for 3 days, flew back, and I got the job, surprisingly. I always get the jobs where I think I'm not going to. I don't know whether you're more relaxed or something. Yeah, and I was a bit out of my depth at Strictly, actually. I was dancing beside people that I'd grown up watching. These were legends of the ballroom dancing world, and, Fraud Complex is huge. And I hadn't danced, actually, since I was 18 years old, properly. So, yeah, I felt very scared, but it was an amazing opportunity. And I got to do the cabaret with this amazing sort of contemporary dance troupe for one of the shows. So that was probably my highlight. And I met Bette Midler.
Did you?
Yes, she sang on one of the shows. She is tiny.
Did she go "Wind Beneath My Wings"? Was that the song that she sang?
Can't remember.
Oh, we'll Google that afterwards. Can I ask, ballroom dancing, is that the kind of thing that you can just keep ticking over in the background, like riding a bike? Like when you get back on the floor, does everything come back to you, or do you really have to focus on honing the steps?
I think when you've done it for so long and from such an early age, it does come back to you. When I was judging the Dancing with the Stars when it went to TV3, I did a dance with Stefano, one of the other judges, a waltz, and it all came back, and it was wonderful, and it felt great. But my body was screaming. Honestly, my back went out, my feet were sore. So your mind is willing, and it's all there, but your body's going to tell you that you hadn't done it for a while.
Do you know the audience of Strictly? Like how many people were watching it every night?
No, I'm sure you can
Be
find
millions,
out.
yeah. But
Millions.
I've heard you tell an anecdote about being on a train and you're going out with Richie McCaw at the time, and you sort of out-celebbed him on the back of Strictly.
Yes. I was sitting at the window. He was in the aisle seat, and I'm surprised anyone could actually see me, actually, sitting behind him. And this lady sort of bent over and tapped him on the knee and was like, "Excuse me." And I was like, "Oh, here we go. Is that Hayley Holt?" And I was just like, "Yes." I think I did that. I think I was like, "Yes!" At the time. In your face.
Because this is Pete Richie. Yeah.
Exactly.
What up now? What's up now?
Fly a helicopter now, asshole.
The other question we had about dancing is how does it translate to night out dancing when you're in the clubs? Because you can't be putting it all out there, right? You've got to sort of pull it back a little bit.
Or can you?
I mean, in my opinion, you can't.
Yeah.
But people do try, definitely. I used to go out with the dancers after a comp or after a show with Candy, and they would be doing the cha-cha on the nightclub dance floor, and, they were dropping it like it's hot, and they were cutting shapes. And it was
like a fusion. Like
they were
mixed
just
hip-hop and
going.
ballroom dancing.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It was interesting, and I was, oh my God, hanging my head in shame, because I was a ballroom dancer, but I still was a snowboarder, skateboarder. I didn't think they were that cool, to be honest.
Yeah, you're a cool girl.
Yeah. Couple of beers later would help. I was right there with them. But also a lot of people who see me out, or used to see me out dancing, were surprised that I was a dancer. Because I know.
He was doing the robot all the time.
I know, pretty much. Just sitting there bopping my head or whatever. Or
yeah, because there's a punter that if you do go out and you see someone on the dance floor that clearly knows what they're doing, there's always that sort of, who the fuck do they think they are?
I know.
Everyone wants to just be out there with their two-step and their kind of swinging hands and
Backing it up.
yeah.
Yeah. Although there was always a sweet spot when, if you had some really good music and the beat would drop, I could always get, and there was always that moment where there'd be about 4 or 5 people on the dance floor who sort of were in this weird energy, you know, you could sort of tell that they were on the level, and
you're
you'd
throwing
dancing,
the fishing line out.
You'd be dancing with
Reeling
them,
them in.
but not with them, it's so good. Yeah.
Dance too.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah, great memories.
Do you get on the dance floor these days?
Yes, I dance a lot at home.
Yeah.
And I will. I mean, these days it's harder without without booze, because you keep dancing away, and then all of a sudden you clock yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you
been
can't
there.
just
I've been
get
there as well.
lost. Yeah.
And wedding receptions, weirdly, are the kind of place where you're having a great time, and then you have this, from my experience, you have this moment, you're like, oh shit, I can't actually dance very well, and I'm out here exposed on the D floor. No one else gives a shit.
No.
But you are having your own conversation with yourself about how dorky you look.
Yeah, I think when you're drunk, your sort of world closes in, and everything on the outer sort of goes out of focus a little bit, and so it doesn't matter. But when you're not, especially at a wedding, you've got this floor in the middle of this big wide open room, and people are sitting there on the table just watching, and
judging,
you can judging, and you can tell, and you can feel it.
But then there's an age where you don't give a fuck anymore, right? Like over 65s, they're out there. They don't care.
They don't give a shit.
You don't care what you look like. You're just out there fucking wobbling around.
Is that how you dance?
That's how I dance.
Yeah.
That's how my mum dances too.
Oh,
Shut
Brent's
up.
got
She's
great
a
moves.
good
That's
mover.
unfair.
Yeah,
That's unfair.
I'm so glad that you got up on the dance floor still, though.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think the other part to it, the other lens, is that you can see the drunk people in the world that they're in on their own, and you go, for me again personally, I'm like, oh man, that's where I'm one beer away. Like, I was there, but then I'm one beer away from really tanking in this situation.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that you were there with them.
Yeah.
It's that you were like on that level to them.
Yeah.
I remember when I've just really I've swung off sideways.
Yeah,
but,
attention.
going to my first party after I gave up drinking.
Like a house party?
House party.
Yep.
And I was like, where's all the drunk people? Like,
Oh,
people
right,
isn't everyone meant to be drunk? And they're like, no, this is super normal. And I thought everyone was on my level when you're drinking. You just come in hot and just be like, I'm going to rock this party up.
Yeah.
And you just sort of think that everyone's there, but they're not.
No, your perspective.
It's very different lens on things. Yeah, I know exactly where you are.
I'm gonna chart our path back. So you've
He's
left
the path charter.
Yeah, I'm the path charter. So you've left dancing behind, and then you're into snowboarding. And we had Steve Dunstan on the show a while ago. What a guy Steve Dunstan is!
He's brilliant.
Your name came up. We talked about the Huffer House of Horrors. I was like, amazing, Hayley Holt. Like, she's got so many strings to her bow. But what do you remember about Steve and Huffer? Like, were you surprised at what he's gone on to achieve with Huffer from knowing him from a younger age?
Because for context, they sponsored you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not surprised because he was kind of a trailblazer, I guess, in that New Zealand snowboarding outerwear. What do you call the clothing industry? Clothing industry.
Clothing industry.
That.
Yeah. Jacketing.
Yeah, jacketing. And he was so good, and he lived it too. He was doing something he believed in. He loved snowboarding. He's still out there on the mountain. So I'm not surprised. I think he's awesome. I went to him actually when I sort of first thought that I might be getting quite good at this, and so I sort of took like a CV into Huffer and said, "Yeah, do you want to sponsor me?" And he gave me an interview, and he and he flicked me a few gears at first, and it just grew from there. So he's definitely my first ever sponsor. So
amazing.
Thank you, Steve.
And you were a professional snowboarder?
No.
No?
I would sponsor it. I always call myself a sponsored snowboarder.
Okay.
There weren't any professional snowboarders in New Zealand at that time. And even around the world, maybe the Americans would get paid, but there's no money in New Zealand, so at that time there was no one getting any money.
So what, you had a side job working in a cafe or something? Or like?
Yes.
So was it a lifestyle?
It was a lifestyle.
Right.
So I would coach a little bit. I would work on the mountain, whether in the park or when I first started, I'd do lift. I was a lifty in America, and then rental shops and waitressing. So just all sorts of different odd jobs. And then I was also sort of doing dancing work on the side with Candy Lane.
What do you mean dancing work?
Yeah, getting a gig. So Candy had the Candy Lane dancers, and they would be, the backup dancers if you ever needed a show for your corporate event.
Oh, yeah.
Or anything. Anytime you got a dancer, Candy Lane was usually there.
Right.
Yeah. and you get paid for that, so that was good.
It's quite a unique combo, snowboarder, dancer. I
Yeah.
can't imagine there's too many of them out there.
No, and I think that's why people were interested. I think that's what made Rick Solite so interested as well. And I was also a builder. I can't
Oh,
Yeah.
On the
Really?
tools for your dad?
on the tools for Dad.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was quite good.
Yeah.
I was quite good with the drop saw. I was always cutting the wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Measure twice, cut once, all that stuff.
Yes.
Is that the phrase? Is that the right way
Yeah.
to? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a contrast because you've got the ballroom dance and the dancing, which is very feminine, but it seems like the other parts, the snowboarding, the being fearless, being a builder, being a tomboy, very masculine.
Yeah.
You know, you got quite a well blended youth.
I think that was that sort of tomboy snowboarder, a bit hardcore, is my personality. The dancing it came with just being in dancing. And I think one of the motivations for Mum when she first started me dancing was to try and get some femininity into me. You know, I used to want to wear boys' swim trunks and go, swimming with my brother and my cousins like them.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh man, you need to learn how to wear dresses. Yeah.
Did you have to go to like those? What are those? It's not elocution, but where you like learn to be a lady. Did you go to those things as well? I don't know. I'm getting into some murky.
Where are you going, man?
But you know those ones where like you have a book on your head.
Yeah, I
and
know what you're talking about.
Is that? Do those exist? Do they not exist?
They do exist. I think probably in the 50s.
Okay.
But,
Oh shit!
but
It
dancing
was a
did
late
that for
night.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually standing up straight from dancing got me bullied at intermediate.
Oh really?
Yes, there was when I started at Auckland Normal Intermediate in Form 1, I was walking into my classroom like this probably. And there was a couple of girls over in the classroom over the alley, and they just clocked me and they thought, we're going to bully her.
Yeah.
She's got a stupid pink bag and she thinks she's so cool, and we're going to bring her down a peg or two. So that was fun.
Is that the ones that shat in your desk?
Yes. Oh, good. Oh, my God. Yes.
That's an incredible bullying gesture, if I do say so myself.
I know. And luckily I don't remember their names because I don't want to defame anybody. But, yeah.
That's an aggressive move.
It was super aggressive. But it wasn't just me. They trashed the whole classroom.
Yeah.
So the classroom...
Shat in your desk.
But they shat...
Everywhere.
Oh, God, this is disgusting. They shat in their knickers and wiped it all over the blackboard.
Oh, man.
And then, I mean, they had shit all over my Martin Henderson posters, which I was saving.
You can't do that to Martin.
Exactly.
You can't do that to Martin.
Stuart deserves better. I don't think that was his character, eh?
Don't know.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I've derailed the story. Go back to
I
the
don't know.
shitting in the knickers and,
So-
and the smearing
and
it on
then-
the blackboard.
And I was always late to school. So I turned up, opened the door into our classroom, and there's like a cleaner in there, just like completely overwhelmed, going, what am I going to do with this? So obviously the classroom had been moved. And I was like, oh, can you just go into my desk, get a couple of things out? And he opened the desk and his eyes just went. And then he was like, oh, no, we're not allowed to give anything out from this.
Oh, man.
I know. And then I got my stuff back, books missing. And there was, I know, a little piece of shit on one of my exercise books.
Did you Duraseal the covers? Because you could have just wiped that right off. That was the beauty of Duraseal back then.
Yeah,
Shitting in your knickers is such an own goal. Like, there's got to be better ways of going about that. That seems so...
I know.
Such a bad choice.
12-year-olds, though.
12-year-olds, come on.
Yeah. It's definitely just shit on the top of a panel van or something like that.
But actually, I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really going all in.
Yeah. At 12 too.
Yeah.
It's committed. Yeah, you are all in.
Like,
it doesn't get more all in
Yeah.
than wiping your shit.
You've
over a whole
broken
class.
into
How
a
did they
classroom.
get in there? Exactly. It's impressive. It's brave.
Yeah. And what did they think the outcome was going to be?
I don't know, but they got expelled.
Yeah, and so they bloody should.
Exactly.
Bullies, man. Shit
I
smearing bullies.
So they
Nah,
bloody
they
should.
got their just desserts.
That took
All
a
right.
detour.
Let me get us out of shit town.